Bitcoin is once again sitting on the edge of a cliff, and in today's video, we'll be going over, is it time to panic? Should you be panicking? Or what area to exactly panic on would be the topic of the day. As we're going to be getting into this one, I should actually let you know that we're going to be having another free Krown school cohort starting next week, hopefully Wednesday next week, but I do need to confirm with the school people. There is a link in the description below. Again, it is 100% free to join on in with an exchange account. Anyways, before we get into it, a little bit of fun stuff right over here. I saw this great post on Twitter. This is why you have to love Twitter, or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's for stuff like this. The Democrats post tonight's winner. And, of course, it is their guy. Why else would they say anyone else? And then followed by the Middle Earth Mixer, actually one of my favorite accounts on this whole damn app. And he says, if this young captain of Gondor absolutely ripping a heater gets more likes than walls, got absolutely destroyed. And you know what? He got 50,000 likes right there. And that was versus 43 right there. Pretty damn interesting. Now, before someone in the comment section says, hey, fuck you, man. You're on the far right. Fuck you, Krown. Relax, okay? This is coming from someone who actually thought that Kamala Harris won that first debate versus Trump. I actually do think that she won. If you're just looking at it from that debate's perspective, she actually had a better performance, in my opinion. And of course, in that last debate, yeah, I do think that JD absolutely destroyed Walls. He came off incredibly well, in my opinion. Anyways, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. We can both have different opinions, and it's all good. That's what America's all about, at least hopefully. Before I get like... And make sure to send Elsa and myself emails about my political views because, yeah, we definitely want to hear it. Anyways, yeah, so I do want to start off with, actually the daily price statistics because it is Thursday. Thursday slightly actually weighted in favor of positive closures rather than negative closures since 2024 began. The average return for those positive closing Thursdays was about 2.25% versus the negative closing Thursdays, which was about 1.75% average loss. So let's see what that would look like in terms of today's price action. I am a little bit more biased towards a positive closure today. 2.5% to the upside would actually put Bitcoin basically just above $62,000. And to the downside, if Bitcoin were to play out that average move, would put Bitcoin on a slightly new low, somewhere down around about 59,500 or so, which I do think is certainly possible as well. Likely the range for today. I don't think that we're going to see anything like super significant outside of that range. And again, I want to remind myself that on this channel, I would be still suggesting, at least statistically speaking, defensiveness for the long side is still warranted, at least until we're around the 7th to 10th day of this month. But very likely the lows for October are going to be put in the early portion of this month. It's just, until we get to at least a weekend, it's probably best to err on the side of caution. But here's the thing, as we do go back into this chart right here, the 5-day time frame on the HPDR indicator is resting right on the median as of right now, officially coming in just below 60,000 bucks at 59,775. So as long as Bitcoin is above there, I actually do look at this as potentially the next major low. If Bitcoin does lose this on a closing basis, or especially even if it just closes a daily below, probably going to be good enough as well, then at that point, I would be highly considerate of what we spoke about as likely the worst case scenario in the short term for October, for an October low. That would be somewhere down between about $57,500 to $58,500 based off of the quarterly pivot. But until that happens, this would be my sort of area of interest for that metric. Moving on from there, I do want to also reference that as of right now, there is actually a little bit of hopium for this area potentially being the low. When I do look at things across the board, over here on the daily time frame, we do see that the daily RSI is actually making significantly lower lows than the last major low that we did see, which was back in middle of September. And that was, of course, a lower low than the potential low that would be constructed right here. I'm talking about this one versus this one. So we'd have higher lows on price action versus lower lows on the daily RSI within the context of an uptrend. What does that imply? It implies that there is potential for hidden bullish divergence. Now, before some people get their panties in a bunch, of course, whenever it comes to divergence, you have to compare like to like. And in this case, it would have to be local low versus local low. And there is no talks of a local low being constructed right here in early October until Bitcoin, at minimum, closes back above yesterday's high, which was 62,400. If you see that, okay, fair enough. You got a local low in. You also got hidden bullish divergence, and that would very likely be it. I mean, that would be considered, a bounce off of the median on the 5-day time frame, and that would be a nice move, on kind of an extreme event and then back up, which would be, a very difficult move, but that's typically how this market likes to move, especially on these major reversals. So again, if Bitcoin does close below about 59,750, I would be looking at that as an indication that, hey, things are going to be going down to that worst case scenario, at least in my opinion, to 58,500 to 57,500 bucks. That'd be the next major area of interest for a low. Of course, I can all be wrong about this, or we can all be wrong about this. And Bitcoin is actually tremendously bearish and will make new lows and continue on with this overall downtrend. But I really only be entertaining that possibility if we start to see, higher term time frame closures below about 55,000 bucks, I believe it is. Until that happens, I am still biased towards Bitcoin likely digging itself in, likely putting in a higher low, and likely working its way up for the rest of this quarter. As we have gone over in the past, due to September statistics, which do suggest that if you see a green September, which we did, the fourth quarter of that year, it has always been green, all 5 times in the history. Moving on from there, I did want to go now into the daily HPDR. And the daily HPDR, we can see in yesterday's price action did actually spike down to the bottom side of the 61.8 level, but did close above. And, you could call this a doji dildo. It is. And a lot of the time, you will see bottoms kind of like that, especially with the HPDR ranges shifting up here. So I would say that, hey, if you do see today close above the 61.8 level, which is 61,500 bucks or so, again, on a daily closing basis, another good indication that Bitcoin is going to have a real chance to actually put in a low here. Might not necessarily get confirmed today, but, over the course of this next 5 to 7 days. I would say, of course, until then, the current range playing between about, 61.5 to the upside versus 58.7 to the downside, basically. That would be the area of interest for the overall range. Moving on from there, I do want to get into some momentum pivots. Again, reminding myself that the 5-day time frame did indeed break this long-term downtrend that has been holding in the high since March of this year. On top of that, it remains with upside pressure on this new open that we did see yesterday, as long as Bitcoin's above 55,300. So I'm still, I still want to be respectful of that. And then, of course, tomorrow for the weekly closure for CME, we do see that Bitcoin will remain with upside pressure if assuming it closes above 59,700, which right now, it is above by a couple thousand or almost a couple $1,000 bucks. So, of course, a lot of things can happen between now and tomorrow, Friday's closure. There's going to be some economic events peppered in there as well. So, do be aware of that. But hey, as long as if Bitcoin can especially close above 62,000 bucks on CME by tomorrow night's closure, it's gonna really strengthen the case that we've actually already seen the low for October. The hunt for low October, the hunt for red October. Anyways, I think that is basically where I want to leave this video. A little bit of hopium there as things do kind of stabilize in the last couple of days. Again, still, however, I am inclined to remain defensive until we get to at least day number 7 of this month, maybe even today number 10, just based off of past statistics. But, things shaping up in that direction, at least for right now. But keep your eyes, again, on 59,750. Below there, that is where I would initiate the worst case scenario. Until then, I think hopium for a low actually already being in is certainly possible. The one thing that I'd actually really say is contradictory to what I'm suggesting right now is the fact that SPY futures over here, I do think can very easily leg a little bit lower towards this gap. And obviously, if traditional markets leg a little bit lower, it's hard to be bullish on other assets. So that is why I would still, again, remain defensive until at least those dates in October. Prices unlikely to run to the upside like significantly or at all between now and these times. So I don't think that waiting is going to be to like a major detriment. But of course, everyone has their own opinions on that. And I'm just some fucking fool, moron, lobotomized idiot on YouTube, just giving his opinion on price action. So as always, you can use this or reference this, but you should prioritize your own analysis first and foremost. So anyways, there's what I'm looking at for today. As always, I want to wish you the best of the best. Again, a quick reminder that there is a link in the description below to the free Krown school, which you can join on in, and the first cohort will be next week. So that's where we'll end things. As always, wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.